police and hands case, but it's in here. The Court of Appeals ruled that once an officer asked for the person to remove their hands from the pockets, at that point it was a command and it conveyed some restriction of liberty. Does everybody get that? I just told him, I need you to do this. Now I'm telling him what to do, and it becomes a tier 2, which is what? What is tier 2? What's the difference? Brian Lumpkin is right. It requires articulable suspicion. And do I have any at this point? Nope. No. Absolutely not. Everything after this should be thrown out, buddy. Okay. And you see that a lot. That's a real subtle thing, but people put their, you need to take your hands out of your pockets. It becomes tier 2 right there. Okay? So that's that scenario.
In that scenario, I brought it free to leave after ID and the general questions. Change it real quick if Mr. Kimberly says, I feel like I've been there, and he just turns and goes and leaves.
All right, that's a good question.
Right.
All right.
Now, put us in, because sometimes that happens.
Thank you, Rick. Everybody give Rick a hand, please.
Get suspect.
Tim is asking question, is a person in a tier 1 casual encounter decides to just walk away? Can they do that?
Yes. Yes.
Jason Samuel.
Absolutely.
They can run away. They can run away from the officer. They don't have to talk to him. That's the whole definition of a tier 1, is a person can walk away. There is a case that I've included in your book.
That's on flight 2 if he runs.
No. Maybe. There's an Illinois v. Illinois v. Warlow. Very good, man. Illinois v. Warlow, in a drug area, they said, but typically the answer is in Georgia, you got a case, State v. Dukes. I call those scatter cases. Police come up with casual encounter and everybody scatters. Okay, that's State v. Dukes. It's in your package. They can do that. In the Dukes case, they scattered, they chased him, they tackled him, and they said, well, you're under arrest for obstruction. Guess what? They find drugs pursuant to the arrest. So what did the court say? The court said no. The court said, this is a tier 1. He could run away from you. And if he could run away from you, then is it obstruction? No. They didn't have probable cause to arrest him for obstruction, so the evidence uncovered is fruit of the poisonous tree. Everybody get that rationale? The state argued in that case that it was a tier 2 from the jump, and he was under some duty to, the officer had a legal authority to detain him, and by the officer, when the guy ran, therefore they had probable cause to arrest. The court turned out a different way and said, tier 1, you can run. Okay?
In a tier 1, can you require the John Q. citizen to provide his name?
Yes. Bob, you can, as I did there, you can ask for ID, you can ask where they're going, as long as you don't convey that this is mandatory. The case law, as I said, in Judge Rosen's case, some of the cases...
You're free to leave, so the guy can just turn and walk away and not answer.
That's absolutely right, Bob. That's absolutely right. That's the mere definition of it. But...
Well, yeah, that's the
I want
problem.
to give a practice pointer. Yes, David.
What about the U.S. Supreme Court case from last year or the year before, where the guy was on the side of the street with his car, and they said he had to give ID? It was a U.S. Supreme Court case.
That's a casual encounter, it sounds like. The officer walked up to him and said, can I see your ID? As long as he didn't convey, as long as he doesn't block him in.
But the court said that he had to give the ID because he refused, and then they arrested him. It was a U.S. Supreme Court case.
I'm not familiar with that, but I don't have an answer for you there. Here's a practice pointer for everybody. When you get into these casual encounter arguments, and this is the number 1 thing you're going to see. This is the hot topic right now. it's very important to write down exactly what the officer says on direct. Because in my case with Judge Rosen, the officers, one thing about the students need to know, the officers often are careless on direct examination. They are on their highest alert level when you get up and cross them. Those Viper officers know the questions you're going to ask them before you even ask them. They know what's coming, and they got down like clockwork. They know the law too. It's unbelievable. But on direct, they tend to get careless, and they say some things. In this case, the Judge Rosen case, the officer said it's a street level inquiry, and the guy says, the officer says, I had him come to me. I had him come to me. So, what did I do? I wrote that down. And on cross-examination, I said, when you told him, when you had him come to me, and you go that over and over and over and over, you repeat those words, and you create the record. There's no doubt this was a command. Because if you don't do it that way, then the next time they'll say, well, I asked him to come. You know, the story will change. The wording will change. Because it's all about the wording. Was it a command or was it a request? You have to capture those words when it's in your favor and drill it into the record, and so the judge knows it was a command. Because the story will change, the wording will slide, the next thing you know, you've lost your notion. They say, well, he said this, and he said that. I think it was a request. So you drill it in, okay?
How about, please get back in your car, sir?
Well, you know, you're getting on that. That's getting into command. I'm going to wrap it up here. It looks like the food's coming up. There's one other thing about direct examination. When they start doing feels and stuff, if you see them manipulating an object on direct, that's when it will happen on direct. When you do that, and you see them doing this number, you jump out of your chair and you make a record. You say, Judge, I want the record to reflect that the officer is manipulating, grabbing the object. Because if you don't do that, then everybody will forget about it. Well, you know, I think he's fine, you know, no big deal. But if you make a big deal about it right there on the spot and say, Judge, I want it noted for the record, they're manipulating, squeezing the object.
You talking about when you're watching the video?
No, right there when the officer's describing how he did the search, Bob.
Okay, so you've got him out of the chair demonstrating.
Two BLTs.
Well, true too. Anytime you can make a record that's in your favor, make it loud and clear so the judge absolutely has in their mind, yeah, he did do
Well,
that.
and the Court of Appeals is not going to look at
Right. Well, you're right about that for the Court of Appeals, but also for the trial judge. You want to win them right there, because once you lose a motion to suppress, very difficult to come back around and win them. Okay? That's my other practice for it. I get the officers up. I have them searching me. Like I said, they often can't explain it and do it at the same time on me. They'll do something out of bounds. Next thing you know, you got a good issue. Okay. Remember this, on Tier 1, Tier 2, the burden is on the state to prove a Tier 1. The burden is not on you to prove Tier 2. People often overlook, what is the burden? Well, since the defendant don't have to prove a Tier 2, the state's got the burden of proving a Tier 1. That's a big point people overlook. I think that's about all I got to say. There are just a few questions before we get into lunch. Jay? Okay.
The Zilke case, okay? What do you think Namias was signaling about other remedies in his concurrence?
Good question. Jane asked, Judge Namias just wrote a decision that David Willingham and BC and I argued in the Supreme Court where they said the KSU officers can't go more than 500 yards per the statute. And Jane's question is, in the concurring opinion, Justice Namias, joined by Justice Blackwell, said, do we really think that suppression of the evidence is called for? They're letting this, you know, flagrancy argument seep in already. Maybe they got advanced wind.
That's that Federalist Society position, that civil remedy is the remedy rather than exclusion, because we might as well, you know, the wrongdoers and all of that.
Kim, you're absolutely right. I don't know if he's quoted that or somebody recently quoted this, is that maybe the fact that the deterrence is the officers will get sued. I think that's what they
Yeah,
said.
because that's so easy.
Yeah, like everybody's gonna go out and sue officers for this. I mean, yeah, that's pretty naive. But
But that goes all
That-
the way back to English common law, Steve. The English had that in the US, they added the Bill of Rights to specifically go against that. The English only have a civil remedy. So you can try to argue that.
Dane raises an interesting question. The whole argument of this Utah case is already seeping in. And remember, 17-5-30, when they say, do we really need to suppress this? A judge. Our citizens, the elected legislators have enacted a statute that is one of the few in the country in statutory law carries more teeth than a judicially created remedy. And the Supreme Court says that as well.
So Namias is saying, let all the evidence come in and sue the officer for a wrongful arrest? Is that what he's?
That's what he suggested. He didn't
While
hold
you're in
that.
prison.
You know,
But he threw that out there. He's inviting the DAs down at Jekyll Island in about 3 weeks to come up with a plan on how to push that through. The Supreme Court, Justice Nice, Justice Blackwell, you know, they are smart guys. And they're sending a message, we would like to hear something like this. We would like a challenge on the exclusionary rule in Georgia. You know, we want to look at these flagrant, aspects.
But Steve, that's not his whole thing, is he will call out the conduct, but then he will lay out the game plan for them to correct the conduct the next time around.
Exactly the position of the Supreme Court in Utah today.
Hey, you just highlight real quick some pros and cons on the defendant testifying in a motion to suppress, good, bad, certain, and how that weighs on later if ultimately, he does have to take this. I know it's normally not done, you've had some experience in that, how suppression evidence works against the defendant if he's just demanding to testify.
Tim, you asked a very good question, and you're right. That's always, do you stand on what that? My position is, it would be a very extreme situation, but the burden is on the state to prove the search was lawful, not on me. If my client gets up and contradicts everything the officer said, where does that leave the trial judge? The trial judge then's got to say, I'm going to believe the officer, I'm going to believe the client sitting in jail. And that's going to lose. That's going to be a loser every time, pretty much. Now, with most judges. Okay, so rather than get into that, what's good is that, if you got maybe a citizen, an independent citizen, that might be something different. But the client, my answer is absolutely not. Don't put them up. You're not gaining anything, and you're giving the state the opportunity to create this mess of facts, which they're going to win every time.
And is that especially true if your client has a record? Because then they can impeach it with the record, just like if it was.
Yeah. The client's testimony is not going to tell the trial judge this is a violation. Maybe independent witnesses, but and then other thing is that gives the judge. I mean, it's a question of fact at that point. You have no appellate grounds when you put your client up, pretty much, because then everything's going to be a question of fact. Defer to the trial judge, you lose. If the record is clean, then it starts as a de novo appeal in the Court of Appeals. If the record doesn't have back and forth fact issues. Okay?
Can you talk about the Sanders case, the apartment guest, some of the issues of that case?
Yeah, the last case that I've included in the index is a case that I argued with Judge Flournoy, where he granted my motion. It was a guy staying as a guest in an apartment. The police get called up, and they're asking him questions at the threshold of the door. And their police's investigation is, do you really belong here? And the guy said, yeah, I'm staying here. These are my friends. I've got, I'm staying here. And so he said, I can go show you, a bill I've got. So the officer doesn't say anything. So the kid actually walks back to the apartment, and the police follow him into the apartment.
Golly.
Of course, they follow him in, and they see drugs, and then it's case done. So the question is did the police create their own exigency by letting the guy go back? They said, well, we're afraid he might go and get a weapon. These generic things don't work on entries into homes. You got to have something specific. You can't just say we're just doing a sweep just for the heck of it. It's got to be. So Judge Flournoy said, well, the officer allowed this, and they can't just walk in and later claim we were afraid that he's going to get a weapon when they allowed it to begin with. The police can't create their own exigent circumstances to justify a warrantless intrusion like that. Then you get into the issue about inevitable discovery, and that gets kind of complicated. But and then the last thing was Judge Flournoy ruled that the guy had his backpack and his clothes there a little bit. He had his own little place in the apartment. He had standing to challenge as a guest. He was not just a visitor. Guests have standing to challenge a Fourth Amendment violation of the premises. Okay? There's a lot of good cases. David West got a real good case about the police. When you walk up to a home, the police are allowed to travel like a air conditioning guy would, up the sidewalk, up to the front door. But when they start getting around the yard, and looking at windows, they can't do that. The curtilage is protected. They only got access to where the general public does, and no more. You see that a lot. They start surrounding a house. There was another case that's in there where they went around about 7 feet from the door, looked through a window, and saw drugs in plain view through the window. They can't do that. They've gone into the threat. They've gone into the curtilage. They've gone away from where the air conditioning man goes. The air conditioning man